Welcome to the Susan Brender Show. It's all about you. Featuring shows on health and wellness, the performing arts, politics, and people who inspire you to be your very best. And now, here's Susan Brender.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Now, I want to tell you something. I have interviewed people who are entrepreneurs for about 3 years at least or more. And the reality is that some people are great entrepreneurs, and some people, well, they don't know what they're doing. But this man, his name is Amos Knoll, and I'm going to tell you right now, he knows what he's doing, and he can really let you know all the fabulous things that he's set up. Now, Amos Knoll is the founder of Knoll Publishing Inc. It's an established entrepreneur possibility. Well, I won't call it possibility. It's an established entrepreneurship venture. He's the author of inspirational books, motivation speaker, toy designer, and movie producer. After 7 years of publishing and authoring books of inspiration, working with a team comprising of the movie producer, directors, and scriptwriters, I think he's ready to implement all aspects of the company. So I want to welcome to the show this great entrepreneur, Amos Knoll.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so let's get right down to it, Amos. First of all, tell us when you set up the Knoll Publishing Inc. and what motivated you to do that.
Well, I always used to enjoy writing. Even I used to writing for myself I call it relaxing time. And I always felt when you write books, you can let your imagination go. There's no such thing as right or wrong. So all you need is really to write, to be a writer, is imagination and knowing how to write. I'm sorry, go on.
No, continue what you're saying, because I'm going to just ask you a question right after that, but nevertheless, go on.
No, so basically, one day my grandson asked me, always used to tell my kids stories. I just make them up as I go along. And one day he asked me, Papa, why don't you write down the stories? So I went to the computer. My first book was called The Flower That Couldn't Talk. And I just typed it out in about an hour and a half, and the book was ready. I mean, it had to be edited. I'm a very bad speller.
Well, that's fine, because you're not alone in that one.
Well, I was reading many articles, very famous authors. Some of them have very bad spelling, grammar, but that's what you have an editor for.
That's right.
Right. So I take advantage of the editors, but I enjoy writing. So when I wrote the first story, first comment I remember I got when I used the title, "The Flower That Couldn't Talk," said, "That's a silly name. That's stupid, as a matter of fact. Everybody knows flowers don't talk." I said, "Well, let me ask you a question. Did you ever walk at home? Do you have any flowers?" "Yes." "Did you ever see the flower like it's warping down? It's like, half dead?" "Yeah, so what? What do you do?" "Well, I go in and water it." "Didn't the flower communicate with you? Didn't it tell you it needed water? Or did you ever walk out in the morning and you take a deep breath and you say, oh my God, it looks like it's going to snow today. Isn't Mother Nature telling you?" So it's being able to communicate with Mother Nature. And there are many signs. And in this particular book, it's about a boy that could not talk. And he was able to communicate with nature. And he found a flower that would communicate with him, so different colors. And they do have flowers that change colors within a few minutes, literally. So, but literally everybody loves the book. And it also says, don't just because you have a handicap, don't ever let any handicap stop you. In this case, he couldn't talk, but he was still able to communicate. It's a cute little story. Everybody loves it.
Yes. You know something, Amos? I'm going to tell you something that I just completed. I did an interview with a gal who, and I call her a gal, but she's actually a mother of a 14-year-old girl with Asperger's, or actually she has, various things that are, creating a lot of problems for her. And one of the things that she said is there is nothing better than to write things down, regardless of what they are. Just put it on paper, and it comes alive. And is that what you've done? You've created characters for your books that come alive and appeal to all audiences. Is that
beautiful? Exactly.
Yeah. And how does it feel when you look at the work that you've done that's taken you, time? I mean, you look at it and you say, what do you say to yourself?
Well, actually, I could visualize it. I'll give you an example. I was a builder developer in Michigan for 35 years, and I used to take a little sketch when a customer would come in, and I asked him what they wanted, and I would draw a little sketch before I gave it to my architect, and I could actually visualize the house, the way it would look. Many people couldn't visualize it. And then when I was building it, I would go out on the new construction, smell the wood, and the drywall. As the house was being built, I could actually feel it. It's the same thing when I write a book. I can actually feel it. I can put myself in the mood and the situation.
Right.
So when people talk about being a writer, no, I never learned how to be a writer in the true sense. But I always loved to write. I always liked to put my ideas in writing. And took a 7-year-old boy to tell me, Papa, why don't you write it down? And that got me off the ground.
Well, they're very wise 7-year-olds, especially now. I mean, you see them on the computer all the time, and they're playing games, and they're reading little stories. And so, you've hit it right on the mark, because kids need beautiful stories that you can tell. Now, you also have some characters in your book that are very special as well. For example, I saw something that you showed me, which is all about a dinosaur. What's that about? Where did you come up with that?
Well, the book is actually, it's called Max and the Red-Headed Dragon. Now, Max happened to be my great-grandson. And one day he asked me, he said, Papa, how come I have red hair? And I tried to explain it to him, and that gave me an idea to write the book. Basically, the book has one message. Don't judge people by the color, the gender, or the way they look. Judge them only what's in the heart and mind. And I also had beautiful pictures drawn with it. And I designed the book like a keepsake type of a book. That's a book you want to pass on from one generation to another. You want to give the message out. We all belong to one human race. That's the message. Now, because many times we as people, we forget. We become older. We get with age, you become jaded, just listening to the news and what's going on. So we have to teach the children that we belong to one human race. And this is the message of the book. And so far, I'm not exaggerating, I didn't find one person, literally not, who didn't love the book.
Right.
So it's really exciting. But in all my books, I try to find a message, and then I put behind the message. I actually write a whole story behind the message, and what people can relate to it.
Yes. Amos, one of the interesting things about sending a message or writing a message in a book or however, in a song, in a poem, you name it, one of the things is that when you reach kids at a very early age and you teach them to love, to honor, to respect, to feel that everybody is a human and they ought to be treated in better ways, that's the time to really begin when they're very young. Would you agree with me or not?
110%, because kids are not born with prejudice. They learn it. There's no such thing as a kid saying, I'm going to hate you because you're Jewish, because you're black, because you're gay. They learn it. They pick it up at home or schools or listen to politicians. That's reality, and I'm trying to do, let's just say I'm putting my 2 cents in to say, listen, people, there's more to life. We are one race, because when you bleed, and I think the best example is, and I also basically describe it in the book, you can't take a donkey, and I'm not referring to politics, a donkey and an elephant and have offsprings.
Right.
But you can take, because Mother Nature says, no, you can't do that. But you can take any human being, any woman, any man, any color, any race, big, small, fat, skinny, whatever, and you can have offsprings. Isn't that Mother Nature telling you it's okay? And who are we wise enough, actually stupid, fighting Mother Nature and tell them, no, you can't do it.
Right.
In other words, we're one human race, and that's the message. And if more politicians, more people, more teachers talk about as one race, because if I get shot and I'm in the street and somebody can give me blood in the hospital,
right.
Do they look if he's black, if he's white, if it's a male, if it's a female? They make sure it's A and B, got the right type of blood, but they will transfuse the blood.
Yes.
So that alone, and that's a message I'm also giving in the kids.
Yes.
To the kids, I mean.
It's very important, as I see it, to give messages to children when they're young, especially, and we discussed that a moment because that sinks in. It's kind of like teaching kids another language. If you do it when they're older, forget it. It's going to be very difficult. But if you do it when they're young, they grasp it. They kind of take it all in, and then they learn it. So, you're doing some amazing things with your books, and at the end of the show, we're going to tell people how to get a hold of them. But I want to change the way, or I want to change the subject for a moment, because I think you're doing something else, which is, again, part of your entrepreneurial spirit. You started something called the Children Obesity Foundation. And I want you to explain to our audience what that's all about.
Oh, you don't really want me to get going on that. I'm preaching it for a long time. We have in the U.S. today over 245 million people considered heavy, fat, or obese. It doesn't matter what you call it. We know what it is. Sadly enough, 23 million of those people are kids, are children, yours and mine. And the problem that you have with this particular disease is that it creates diabetes too, high blood pressure, coronary heart disease, strokes, heart attacks, depression, sleep apnea, cancer, and the list goes on and on. And yet when you have children winding up with the same diseases like elderly people, there's something wrong with it. Now, I'm not saying don't eat a Big Mac every day. Don't eat a big once in a while, but if you have it 2-3 times a day. And I feel bad for the parents who really don't have money. They go into McDonald's, they can buy for $1 a hamburger, but $5, $6 for a salad. And if you have 4 or 5 kids, what do you do?
Yeah.
So we are actually, and I use that expression a lot, we are feeding our kids to death, which is sad.
Very.
And yet, here's one disease that we can eliminate 100%, by educating the parents and the kids. And we also came up with a program for that. I work with Dr. Juris. She's also on the board of directors with Children's Obesity Foundation. And we developed a program, which is tremendous. And the program is so basic, grassroots. You take the parents, you teach them what kind of foods to buy. You meet them in the store. You teach them actually how to buy the right foods, how to eat certain foods that help you lose weight, that are healthy for you.
Right.
It doesn't have to be expensive. You actually go and even teach them how to cook the food at home and how to do basic exercises. But
let me stop you right here, Amos. We live in a world today where everybody is extremely busy. Women are working. I mean, that's the way it is, and it's okay that they're working because they deserve to have opportunities like men. But unfortunately, because they're working and men are working and they're working long hours, they don't have the time. Because interestingly enough, and maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, and that is that interestingly enough, to cook very healthy foods takes time. It takes time. It's much more time than all the junk food, and that's the problem. And just let me mention one more thing, and that is I used to interview a woman who was a nutritionist, and she said to me, she said, we teach kids and we teach adults how to eat healthy foods so that they avoid obesity or they avoid heart attacks and things of that nature. She said, but I'll tell you right now, look at McDonald's. Now, McDonald's, she said, has, millions and millions and millions of dollars. But the reality is that if you want to teach kids how to eat well, you're teasing them, because McDonald's can do commercials. They can have boards where they, all over the place, and they have the ability to make things smell good. So when you pass it, you can't pass it up. What do you say to that? Because
very simply, it's a very simple thing. Every one of those food manufacturers, their job is to sell, sell, and sell. It is up to the parents and the teachers and the people who educate our kids to also to show them why it is not healthy. I'm raising my great-grandson, and I help raise him, I should say. And we talk about foods, and I actually explained to him, I says, Max, if you want to eat it, you can eat it, but it's not really healthy for you. Do you want to have a big belly? And then you can get other problems? He says, no, Papa. So I said, Max, you got to eat the right foods. But to answer your other question, it comes to education. There are many women who in the workforce, absolutely, and a woman is entitled for the same exact thing that every man gets, and I don't even question that. But something, to have a child is, something, how should I put it? A dog has puppies, right? Anybody can have kids, but to be a parent, it takes a father and a mother, or a mother and grandchild family. You have to do it together. You can't just throw the burden. The guy goes, I got to go to work. Boom, let's have another baby. Let's have another baby.
Right.
No, if you want the responsibility of have a baby, you have to have the responsibility to raise it. I know a woman's job is tremendous, taking care of the baby, whether it's changing diapers now. What makes me the expert? Well, I'll put it to you like that. I'm married 56 years. And I raised my children, I raised my grandchildren, I'm raising my great-grandchildren. But it wasn't me or my wife, it was us. We did it together. If I could help her, I would cook, or she would cook. It wasn't saying, that's my job, that's your job.
Right.
It's a team effort. So yes, a woman who works, and unfortunately you have many women that do not have a husband to help them out, which is no question it's difficult.
Yeah.
But like anything else, we control our time to a certain extent. And you have to take your priority. Is it more important for me, instead of watching an extra hour of television, and I'm not trying to preach to anybody, is it maybe just better, let me take that hour and cook for the week? When my wife and I used to work, I'm going back to the 60s, and she used to cook basically for the week. On weekends she used to. Okay, it was difficult. I cleaned the bottles, not like you do it today. It wasn't disposable, all the stuff. But it's a team effort.
That's right.
So that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, you can't fight that point, because you're absolutely right. There's no question, when there is a family with a mother, a father, children, they're able to do things that single parents are not able to do. Now
it's much more difficult.
Much more difficult. So that leads me to a very important point, which is what you've indicated in your bio and various other places where you sent me to, and that is that you have various programs that you've created that are part of the Children's Obesity Foundation. So why don't you tell our audience the different programs that you have available on, on this particular foundation site?
Well, one of the programs which I think is really tremendous is basically where we actually take call them ambassadors. We actually train the people to go to people's homes, teach them how to cook the proper way, how to cook healthy. Then go to the stores, actually, I don't care if it's a Walmart or whatever store, show them how to buy the right foods. Show them how to, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Look, you can buy sometimes in the grocery part, fruits or vegetables that are a little older, which are usually less expensive, and you can prepare them in a certain way. And I don't want to go into the whole diet right now, because they would take a few days. But so you can prepare food. So we would actually our people, our ambassador, it's basically a lifestyle modification. We'll actually go and show them how to cook, take them to the store, teach them what the different foods will do to your body, how you can eat certain food that will actually help you lose body weight, lose weight. On the other hand, show them that exercising is important. If you're not used to exercising, walk a half a block, then a block, then 2 blocks, then 3 blocks. And then you start doing exercising. Very important, because if you take the human body is like any, forget about the brain, that makes us different. It's like any other animal. Did you ever see a fat zebra, a fat elephant? No, because those animals will eat only when they're hungry and they have to eat. Maybe it's 10 times a day.
Right.
But what do we do? What we do is we watch television. You see a commercial. Oh, I got to have a Three Musketeer. Oh, I got to have another candy bar. I got to have ice cream. Except, as a matter of fact, one of my books, which I wrote because of that, is called The Chubby Conqueror. It's a book of innovation. It's about seen through the eyes of a 12-year-old boy, and where he basically one day watches television, and he watches the First Lady talk about obesity, all the different diseases he can cause, and he looks at his mom and dad, and they're also very heavy people. They're obese. And he heard a saying that people can die from obesity.
Sure.
So he writes a beautiful letter to the White House, to the First Lady. Please, I love my mommy and daddy. I don't want them to die. And she gets taken by it, so she invites him to the White House. And it's his trials and tribulations to become a chubby conqueror. And he becomes the poster boy. And by the way, that's the movie we're doing the script right now on. And that movie, I think, would be tremendous because everybody can associate with it. If you're not heavy, you know somebody else who is.
That's right. There's no question. You also, I should just make the list or tell the list to our audience, and we're going to talk a little bit about the film in a second, but you also say that, the programs that you have developed are giving books and videos and CDs and films, producing all kinds of educational films and videos. Right. And you also say that community development programs are another way in which you can really create an opportunity for people to have fun and to really do some great things for themselves. And clinical intervention is another one by pediatricians, nurses, and practitioners. Exactly. And the last thing that you talk about is programs for schools. So just before we get into something else, programs for schools. If somebody in the audience has an opportunity to discuss this with a school, what would you say? What do you say? What kind of programs can you create?
You can have programs where we would actually teach the teachers to educate the children about eating healthier food, about exercising. And it's just like when I went to high school, when I took biology or you take science, make it a subject because your whole life you're going to eat.
Right.
Why don't we educate the kids how to eat healthy? Where the kids are going to tell to their parents, Mommy, you shouldn't eat that. That's not good for you.
Right.
Right? It's like when I'm going back, I remember in the 60s when nobody didn't have seat belts, and then when they came up with the seat belts, I made my kids wear it, and I didn't. And then, of course, I put it on because of my kids, to be the example. So every time I forget to put it on, my kids would say, Dad, your seatbelt. Same thing with food. So we need the children, it sounds funny, to educate the parents.
That makes a lot of sense, by the way.
It really does, because many times parents will not do it for themselves, but they will do it for the kids.
Exactly. Well, I think that is a great way to really get kids to learn how to reduce the obesity problem. So just last but not least, with regard to the Children's Obesity Foundation, I want you to tell our audience what the mission is and how they can donate funds to this particular organization, because I think it has a lot of relevance and a lot of programs that would really help our kids and help people to lose weight.
Children's Obesity Foundation is a 501c3, non-profit organization. It was created literally to help fight the obesity epidemic. And one of the programs we came up with, which is the lifetime modification program, where we educate the parents and the children how to live a healthier life by doing things. You don't need fancy clothes, you don't need fancy food, yet you can still have good food, you can exercise, and you can lose weight. Because once you lose weight, first of all, you feel proud of yourself. You stay healthier. It's just the excitement in the kids. When kids look at, oh my God, look at the weight I lost. I see it with kids every day.
Right.
And but all they have to do is go to a website, www.obesitystops.org, and they can donate whatever they feel comfortable with. As a matter of fact, one of the things I'm doing right now, I'm giving away, we're giving away about 2,000 books. I'm giving them for free. All I want from the people is shipping and handling, which I think is $5.99, and we'll send them the book. But of course, you can donate any amount that would be great, because it helps us implement all the different programs. But you can go to our site and you can see some of the people who are involved with us and the kind of things we're doing.
And repeat the site and repeat how people get in touch with you.
The site is www.obesitystops.org, or they can even call me, 561-347-1200. That's my direct line, by the way.
There you go, and thank you for giving that information out. I think it's a very well-deserving opportunity for people to make sure they live in a world where people can at least do something for themselves. Okay, let's go back now to your books. Okay, so give us the names of the 3 books that you've published.
Oh, I have more than 3 books.
Oh, go ahead. Well, tell us about that.
But the ones, well, what I do is whenever I can't sleep, I sit down and I write a book. I like to write short stories. I have some books are like 200 pages, so they're not short stories, but books like The Chubby Conqueror, Max and the Red-Headed Dragon, The Flowers That Couldn't Talk, books like Mama, Why Am I Black? People said, my God, you can't use that. I said, why not?
Yeah.
Here's a child who's married, the father's black and the mother's white. Mm-hmm. And they had a child, and the child asked the mother, Mommy, why am I black? And she explains it to him. Or a book like Where Did Mommy Go? What the little boy asked when his mother passed away, and he asked questions. He had a lot of questions. And the story tries to answer it, so all the stories have a meaning behind it and explanations behind it. You might agree, you might not agree, but so far, most of the people who read my stories said, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And I try to be very neutral about something, not trying to give my feeling into it. To say, this is reality. Here's the world we live in.
Yes. Now, Amos, we're coming to a close for the show. Now, last but not least, I always give my guests the last word, because I think there is, you know exactly what you want to get out there. And I started telling people that you're an entrepreneur. So what's in store for you? And again, I want you to repeat all the ways in which people can get in touch with you. So give us the last word, if you will.
Well, the last word, you can go into if it's to do with the movies, they can go into www.Knoll, Knoll Publishing.com, and they can see the different books, that we have right now, and it also talks about the movie. Now, the movie The Chubby Conqueror was really created for Children's Obesity Foundation, because I want kids to feel it. I want kids to be motivated, and it does it. And I'm getting beautiful letters from it. So the movie itself, The Chubby Conqueror, I'm the producer there. I'm putting money together for that right now, and we feel it's going to be very successful because we have so many, unfortunately, obese or overweight people, and
yes.
people can relate to it. And like any successful movie, when people relate to it, they will go and see it.
Absolutely.
And they can come out encouraged.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on my show, Amos Knoll, and I also would like to encourage everybody who's listening to the show to tell their friends a little bit about Amos Knoll's publishing company, the books that he has available on obesity, and about the Obesity Foundation, which can really have an impact on kids and make them aware, educate them, inform them of all the ways in which they can, spread the word even to their friends or to their parents or to anybody else. So thank you, Amos Knoll, for being on the Susan Brender Show. It's been a very educational and a very important show, and I really feel that you know what you're talking about, and I wish you lots and lots of luck.
Susan, thank you very much. And when anybody wants to call us, we're open-minded, and we can make many suggestions.
Thank you for listening to The Susan Brender Show. To be a guest, email sebrender@yahoo.com.